camera off. Welcome to the inside of the new dad cab. Got a new Honda. It's pretty nice to replace our Pathfinder that a deer took out. Not cool. So I'm gonna try to do some filming on our way to work today. See how this works. If it works, who knows. Try to get some thoughts out on the state of the channels, what channels I have and what they're there for. So you might have noticed in my channels list, so I've got this channel, which is my main channel, and then I've got Jared Makes Music, which is mainly acoustic, real world instruments, just having fun, writing little tunes, and showing a little bit of the process here and there. And then I've got Factory 806, which is mainly electronic style music, a lot of unintentionally dance style music slash cinematic scores. I like to write, I like music in general that feels like it could be the theme of a soundtrack or a movie to something. It just always has a cinematic purpose. I don't like pop music. That being said, sometimes it has a pop feel to it, but I don't like it. Not just music for the sake of pop music. I like music that feels like it should be in the background of a scene of a movie. It can still be pop style, but mainly I want it to have some feeling, some emotion, something to it. But anyway, so I've got that, and then I've got one called Ponder This, which is going to be, it is kind of basic right now, but it's going to be a place to just put out deep thoughts and or information about something. So some statistics or background of something, but kind of in a story format. So you've got that. And then I've got a channel called The Human Garden that is a little bit about gardening, but not so much about gardening and more about people, the humans side of the human garden. And I just want to relate and show and talk about and highlight good people, good things that are going on in the world, even on a micro or macro level. Just uplifting channel, highlighting the goodness of the world, where it can be found, when it can be found. So I've got that, and then I think there's one or two more, but those are the main ones I really want to focus on. And this channel, my main channel, is kind of more about me and how I'm trying to grow as a person, my daily struggles, but also my daily wins. And I want to talk a little bit more on that one about things that interest me in general. So music, obviously, but also art, photography, video editing. I'm really passionate about learning languages, and almost a wreck up here, sorry. Not me, someone else. And how languages are more connected than we think, kind of like how people are more connected than we think, but specifically the Germanic languages, but I love all languages. I started learning Zulu, Swahili, you name it. I think last count I started started learning somewhere between 30 and 40 languages, depending on how much you want to say really started learning. I am not a linguist. I am not a polyglot, which just means you speak many languages. I like to learn languages. I like to see how they interact with each other, why they're slightly different here and there. And it also has to do with even English, as the different ways that different regions speak it. So there's that. And then, of course, if you don't know, I have 5 kids, so there's a little bit in there about them. Want to travel more, see more stuff, and I am now 47, so I think there's a certain amount of life lessons you learn as you get older that can be helpful for younger people to hear. Even if you don't take any advice I give, it's not always advice, it's just, hey, this happened to me, this is what happened after that, do with it what you want. I'm gonna have that in there. And I just want a place where I can give regular updates on whatever's going on, but also try to share what bits of wisdom I have accrued with you, or let you know my findings on XYZ, whatever it is. And just hopefully be entertaining, something you can just sit back and relax to, and something to pass the time and give you a friendly, face and voice that you can hear and see, that it's just a relaxation time. But yeah, so this drive is, depending on the day, 20 to 30 minutes. It's not too far. We live in Irving, which, if you don't know, is I guess you call it a suburb of Dallas-Fort Worth. So in the grand scheme of things, you have Dallas on the east side, Fort Worth on the west side, and really you never truly leave either one. They've grown so large and have so many little micro towns in between that you never feel like you actually leave DFW. I think I read DFW is something in the range of 9,000 square miles, which I know sounds ridiculous, and it probably is. But either way, it's DFW is very, 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 very large. It's something in the range of 1/3 or 2/3, I forget. I think 1/3 the size of Ireland, just DFW. So yeah, DFW should be way more than just Dallas and Fort Worth. We live right in the middle in Irving, but you've got Frisco, which has more sports teams than any other city in America. Up there you have the Dallas Cowboys Training Center. You've got hockey. We have the Dallas Mavericks, but they all have training centers. We got the soccer team, I forget what it's called, FC Dallas, but that's in Frisco. So you've got all these places around here, McKinney, Plano. Denton is kind of separate, but it's still really close as well. You have all these places. So there's a lot of traffic, a lot of driving. Next time I'll film the other direction so you can see just how crazy the traffic is here. I'm about to pull onto a highway here on my way to work that has 6 lanes on both sides and a bridge nearly as tall as the Statue of Liberty. Traffic is crazy. The speed limit here is like 70 George Bush. And people in general, 70 is like a minimum. It's not the maximum, it's the minimum. If you're doing less than 70, you might get ran over. If you're in the fast lane, it's more like 80 to 90. Even the second from the fast lane is probably 70 to 80. But yeah, it's Dallas for you. Plus it's a toll road. 12-lane toll road. It's crazy. They make so much money off this. I am a graphic designer 90% of the time. 10% of the time I do general marketing / video editing and production. On occasion I get to make music for my job. But yeah, so most of my day is spent figuring out the puzzle of graphics, what to do, what to convey, and I think it ties into all the things I like, being that it's a communication device. Music, art, graphic design, marketing in general. It's all just communication, really. It's different forms: visual, audio, emotional. And I like, of course, learning languages. So I think it's interesting. I've been told I have autism. Very, I don't want to say mild, but it's not, I don't have a lot of the problems that are the typical problems you might see on TV or the internet. Those are usually extreme cases or different cases, I guess. Mine is more mild, but like growing up, I had a hard time making eye contact. I didn't have a lot of friends, but I was really good at learning and organizing. And not that I had an organized life, but I just had a way of categorizing things and learning things and packing things away into nifty little categories in my brain, and a very limited selection of likes and dislikes and hobbies. And I have a tendency to get into a hobby and it can overtake my life to some degree. I have to learn everything about it. I have to have it or be a part of it in some way. But on the flip side, I think I had a negative amount of ability to communicate clearly. Even though I understood and I could pack all the info away and dissect it, I just had a hard time putting it into words. I would clam up a lot. It didn't help with my first marriage at all. But now I realize, I think growing up I had to find a way to cope with those negative factors. So not being good at communicating has somehow led me to be more of a communicator. I'm just not always doing it with words. So it's kind of ironic, I guess. So I communicate visually, I communicate through music. I used to have a bad habit of, instead of just telling someone my thoughts or trying to join in a conversation to express my emotions, I wanted to just play a song. But now that makes sense. So I was still expressing and communicating. It was just through the nuances of a song. Maybe it was what the song was about, or where I saw in a movie or why it had a certain emotional connection, and I was trying to share that with someone else, and or I guess in a way I was trying to see if someone else, it was almost like a test. So I'd play a song and see how they reacted, and it was kind of a way for me to see where they were at mentally at that moment. So that was my question. But instead of being a normal grown-up and listening for the answer, in my own way I would just make my own judgments based on how they reacted to that song, which is not good. But it's how I coped, and it's how I learned. And I think the reason I started liking to learn languages and enjoy it was because in my own way I felt I had a disconnection from the world. And even though I knew the English, I got English medals in school, I understood it, I could do it, I just wasn't good at speaking and conveying what I really had in my brain. And it's kind of how it is when you're, you know, if you had to speak to someone from a different country or spoke a different language. And that same, on the inside, I always felt a need to try to communicate with people, and I had to learn how to do that properly. And when you're learning a language, it's the same thing. And when you get that sense of accomplishment of learning how to speak to someone in Dutch or Norwegian or whatever, you feel like you've accomplished something, and it makes me feel good, the same way that just learning how to communicate with regular people would make me feel good. And so it's just, it grows on you. You learn one language and you see, wow, I didn't realize, you know, English was 50% in some ways the same as Dutch. It's like you have to learn how to hear the language for what it is. You learn to switch out D's for TH's or P's for F's in German, or vice versa. It's just a lot of little, it's like a puzzle, which goes back to what I do on a daily basis. I'm a graphic designer, so someone says, you know, we need to convey this thought or this idea or sell this item. It's up to me to figure out how to lay that out on a piece of paper to clearly, or on a screen, to clearly convey that product or idea or scene, and then tie that in with other graphics or other text, language, in a way that tries to evoke emotion from someone. So it's funny that my probably greatest fault or downside growing up of not being able to communicate has forced me to become a better communicator in other ways. You know, you lose one sense and the rest get heightened, kind of thing. So me growing up, not communicating well, not always knowing what someone was saying, even when they were saying it, has made me, when I know where I'm starting, I can then portray to someone else my thoughts, my ideas in visual ways or audio ways, through music and graphics. So we're getting pretty close to work now. Still not there yet, but I'm doing 70 and people are passing me like I'm standing still on this other side over here. It's crazy. So anyway, that's what this channel is. This channel's communication, growth on my part. Hopefully I can share that with you guys, give you a little better insight into my life, because when I'm gone, hey, if I can help somebody great. If not, maybe I can entertain somebody. And also I wanted to leave something for my kids that they can see, and maybe I tell them in some way more about my childhood so they know more about their self, and life will get better for someone somewhere, hopefully. I really appreciate you guys. If you haven't subscribed, please do. I'm gonna put up content as often as I can. Today's first time using this. I have no idea how it's gonna look. Hopefully it looks pretty good. Gotta learn to smile more. I'm not good at that either. We'll see. So, funny side note, we're almost to my building over here. Another part of my, I don't know, personality, call it autism, personality, whatever, is I can't stand being in crowds. I don't like getting overwhelmed with as much. I love heavy metal. I can be in a band, I can be on stage, I can be whatever, and as long as I have some control over making that sound or putting myself purposefully in a situation, it's not so bad. But if I just have to be in a crowd or a crowded place or a group of people I don't know, even if I know them, it's hard for me to do that. I get overwhelmed. I feel, someone once described it to me as being a caged animal, and I totally agree with that. I feel very much that caged animal feel where I just want to gnaw off my foot and escape if I have to be in a group. So the building I'm at has a parking garage, 3 stories. It's a nice parking garage. Now that I have a smaller car, I could park in there, but I don't. We have an emergency exit at the back of our building, very back, and I will purposefully park at the nearest parking spot to that emergency parking. That way nobody ever goes out that exit, nobody ever goes that direction. Very few people park over there for the entire building, which is a big building. So that way, anytime I come in or out of the building, I don't have to interact with anyone. I don't have to see people. I don't have to talk to people. I don't have to do anything but park my car and go in the back door and down the lonely hall that no one knows or goes down, and make it to my office. But that's just me. And I also know that if something ever happened, I would be the only one going in that direction. So it's kind of a safety, weird OCD thing too, where I don't have to think about anyone else or where they're going. I just have to go my direction to my car. I don't have to worry about getting in or out of a parking garage. I'm just gone, which is usually what I want to do. So I'm here. Thank you guys for watching. Remember to like and subscribe if you haven't already. I'll put out more of these if this one looks good or works good. But it was good talking to you guys. I'll talk to you in the next one. Peace.